Say this evening is not to be confrontational. And I know, but you know we're having dinner here, and the object is to learn a little bit about the candidates and what they would do. Hopefully, when they get to Washington. Now, it's also a forum that we can all ask questions, and sometimes some of us have a little bit more questions than others, and that is just okay, as long as we get some insight. What we want to hear from the candidates, but we don't want anybody to feel like there's someone's on their chest or they're going to be attacked. Is that okay with everyone?
I'll try to behave.
You guys are doing good. You look great. I'm going to say
I'm not threatened. I want to hear it.
I think we're just upset that the incumbents are not here. To take on
They're the fundraiser.
Can I just point out real quickly, in case it's not clear to everybody, Rick and I are both going against Cantor. We're going against each other. Okay? But you'll notice, Rick and I, we've met a couple of times. We like each other. Good guy. I respect him. The guy that needs to be here answering questions is not here. Rick and I aren't going to run from him. We'll talk to you. The other guy, who knows where he is.
Has anyone seen Randy Ford's?
I've just seen the signs all over town.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this, because we're not here to badger candidates, but we would like them to participate. November 2nd is election day. You do what you see fit. You write to the editors and say what you see, what you would like for the press to print out there. Let's not let the press control who you vote for, how you vote. Why don't you all throw something out there to them? Now, this question on the economy. Rick Waugh states that the most important issue facing the country right now is the economy. Wall Street seems to be doing just fine these days, but folks on Main Street are still struggling. We need to bring new jobs into the district, jobs on which you can support a family. I guess that's an important word, that you'll be able to support a family. We need to make it easier to start a small business and easier for existing small businesses to hire new employees. We need to make sure that the folks who have been laid off have access to the resources they need to get a new job and stay productive members of society. This is how we are going to turn the economy around in the 7th District, and how we will strengthen Main Street from Richmond to the Rappahannock. Now, will any one of you not vote for pay freeze, or will you vote if you make it up there? Because from my understanding, they earn $179,000 and other things, $179,000. Would you vote for pay freeze and or a pay reduction? Because this will help go towards the deficit. It may be a small part, but this will help with the budget. And do you believe in term limits?
In regards to term limits, I have already given a pledge stating that if I cannot do my job after 4 or 5 terms, I'm out. The first question, I believe, was in regards to salary. I will not take a single raise in Congress. I made $38,000 last year. There is no reason in the world I need $170-some thousand a year.
I live 2754 now.
And so there is no reason for me to take a raise as long as there's somebody that's homeless, as long as there's somebody who's not getting an education, as long as there's somebody that's does not have a job. There's no reason. There's still work to be done. There's no reason that I need to be rewarding myself. There's still work to be done. So no pay raises, and I believe that, and absolutely, I will be out in after 4 or 5 terms.
I wasn't aware about the pay raise on the big scope of things. It's relatively small potatoes. But what I would do is allow the Bush tax cuts to expire for those making over $250,000. That's going to make a difference of over $600 billion over 10 years. The people making the greatest amount of money are not investing it to build jobs and businesses. They are hoarding it right now because the economy is flat, and giving them more money to hoard away is not going to help us out.
I believe they need a pay cut. It used to be every year they had to vote on a pay raise. Now, it's automatic. And guess who voted for that? Yeah, if you said my Republican opponent, you'd be right. So it's automatic now. Every year they get that pay raise. I think they make far too much money for what they do. It's supposed to be a service to the American people. It's not supposed to be a get-rich-quick scheme. And so I would definitely advocate for cutting the pay. Now, beyond that, term limits. The problem I have with term limits, I'm imposing one on myself. I'm not going to serve more than 3 terms if I'm fortunate enough to do that. I fear that it will create more apathy. And apathy and voter ignorance is part of why we're in the mess we're in now. So if a guy's going to be gone in 2 or 3 terms, I'm afraid that most people are going to just adopt the attitude that, well, I don't need to pay attention to what he's doing anymore. He's going to be gone in a couple of terms anyway. Then my only fear is if I can be assured that the American voter is going to remain engaged, remain educated about who the candidates are, why they're running, what they stand for, I think term limits can work. But we have a term limit coming up in November, folks. November 2nd. You have a chance to advocate for term limits. Please do it.
You know, I was reading former Governor George Allen's book, and I did not get a chance to ask him this question, but I'm going to ask you all this question. Should Congress need to go on a break when they have not finished a job? And if they have not finished the job, should they be penalized via their paycheck?
If I don't do my job, I get laid off or fired.
What we're not discussing here is what probably all 3 of us are doing, spending our time every day making calls, trying to raise money. My opponent has $700,000 he's ready to throw at me. There was a quick story when J. Sergeant Reynolds was running for, I think, Attorney General or something. He went to his grandmother and asked for $20,000 for his campaign. And she asked, how much does it pay? And he said $2,000 a year. And she said, I'm glad you went into politics and not business. Too much money is being spent on the campaign, and the amount of people are being paid is minuscule in comparison. So that's where the corruption is.
Yeah, if they don't do their job, they shouldn't be taking a recess. If a bill is that important that they have to bring it up in the first place, then you finish it. Now, that's not to say they should rush to finish it. Any legislation should be carefully deliberated upon. That's the way our system is set up. I don't want decisions made quickly in haste, and because of that, you have problems later. I think that's part of the problem we have with the health care bill now. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. We didn't take time to read it. So you've got to know what's in there, why you're doing it, take the time to get it right. You shouldn't stop until you finish it.
Well, you just hit on something. Barry gave me a card here, and he said, would you all read all the legislation you would vote for and limit the amount of pages each bill contains?
Yes. No bill should be longer than the U.S. Constitution. If it is, they should get rid of it and start over.
I'm a slow reader. I don't think there are enough hours in the day that people can read all the things that they are supposed to. That, again, is I agree, why we have trouble. Any sort of thing can get slipped in there, and nobody knows about it until it gets pulled out later. That part of the system needs to change.
That leads to another point. If the bill is titled something, then it should be about the title.
Well, thank you. I do not know your name here, but Stephanie. Stephanie asks, when do you stop taking taxpayers' money without our consent? And when do you stop bailing out government-run agencies and banks who continue to mismanage? What are they given? And she has up here number 2. What happened to limited government as it was originally designed. There's a big one on here today, guys. Okay. Who would like to take that?